Juan Brown here with an update on the Oroville Dam situation since my video of the flyover back on the 10th. It's now the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, about 8 in the morning. So they've been able to reverse the situation. They've cranked up the flow in the main spillway up to 100,000 cubic feet per second and have been able to stop the flow over the emergency spillway located here. And the inflows are down to merely 20,000 cubic feet per second. So they're dropping the lake at about 5 inches per hour. They've got it down 12 feet. The goal is to get the lake down 50 feet so they can continue to take the pressure off of this emergency spillway and continue to shore it up with rocks. This aerial flyover video I did has got a lot of attention on YouTube, and I've learned a lesson. I got to be careful with my sarcasm at the end. It was missed by quite a few people. I was hoping that the Godzilla showing up would kind of reflect my sarcasm, but sure enough, the emergency spillway has eroded excessively. 180,000 people have been evacuated, and there's no sign as to when they're going to let those people return back to their homes. I want to thank everybody for the good and constructive comments on this video and how it's helped folks understand the situation at Oroville. Wacky comments, I'm just gonna kick them off the front porch right away. So let's take a look at some more recent footage and point out some of the areas of concern here at the Oroville Emergency Spillway. Quick look on Google Maps satellite view here to give you the overall picture of where we're at and what we're talking about. Oroville Reservoir, located here in Northern California, includes the watershed of all three forks of the Feather River, north, middle, and south, and that watershed extends all the way up to the very top of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Zooming in here is the Oroville Dam, the hydro plant located down here, the main spillway located right there, the emergency spillway located right here, and the ravine associated with that, and the flooded boat launch area located right there. Below the dam is the Thermalito diversion pool where all this debris is ending up, and this debris is mostly being stopped by this dam right here at the base of the Thermalito diversion pool. This is where the water splits. This portion goes directly into the Feather River. This portion of water goes into the Thermalito afterbay where it can water agricultural areas before it is returned to the Feather River down here. So all these releases from Lake Oroville are putting quite a bit of pressure on the downstream infrastructure, especially way further down into the delta, as the delta levee system is just being inundated with rain from all over the state. And some of those aging levees, well, they give us troubles just about every time we have one of these high water rain events. The reason for the evacuation, the areas that would be inundated if this were to fail catastrophically, the emergency spillway, of course, is the town of Oroville, Thermalito, and down here is Biggs, and all these little communities in the valley as the water would spill out towards this direction, towards the Sutter Buttes. This is the emergency spillway here. Water started flowing over this. It flowed for about 36 hours at a pretty light rate, 12 to maybe upwards of 20,000 cubic feet per second. But sure enough, just as we were concerned about, everybody was concerned about, erosion occurred here, and erosion became excessive right at the foot of the emergency spillway. So water managers cranked this spillway up to 100,000 cubic feet per second. They were running it at about 50,000 cubic feet per second. And the damage here on the main spillway, the initial problem, has stabilized enough, allowing them to run that spillway that hard. And that's how they're able to lower the lake. By the way, we got more rain coming later this week, but it's a colder rain and lighter rain and should not be nearly as devastating as the super heavy rains we've suffered recently. Good points brought up about this Thermalito diversion pool at the bottom. I haven't got the answer as to what's going on here with the hydro plant, but based on the looks of the muddy water back there, back to it, it looks like this debris in the Thermalito Bay here has backed up to the point to where the hydro plant is unable to release water, but I've not been able to confirm that. That's another 12,000 cubic feet per second that they're unable to release from the reservoir, if that's the case. Not good. Here's the footage from Live Copter 3. The water working its way down the ravine as planned, but here's where all the problems are. This is showing the water pretty much at its peak coming over the emergency spillway. This erosion right here at the base of the spillway, and there's created quite a few boils, like this deep hole right here, a large deep hole here and here, and there's one more up to the left. And the concern, of course, is these deep holes dig enough undermine the footing of this emergency spillway, and if this emergency spillway cuts loose, it's a catastrophic failure of the dam, flooding huge portions of the valley below. Here's the other large boil hole they're really concerned about right there. There was a road here going across, and of course that road is gone now. That was an access road to the parking lot on the other side. And here's the parking lot that's flooded. All on the emergency spillway. See if it pans out and gets a wider view. So they've got a couple of Black Hawk helicopters working, grabbing these bags of rocks and dropping them into the emergency spillway, into those holes that we pointed out, in an effort to shore up the emergency spillway. Here we see him with a short sling line dropping the load of rocks into this hole way off to the side of the spillway, way below the parking lot. Starting over here, and I assume working towards the spillway. How effective this will be will remain to be seen. Kind of a last-ditch emergency effort. Here he is flying over all the damaged area. And the main spillway. Here's a good wide shot showing the water pouring out of the canyon from the emergency spillway and the main spillway running at 100,000 cubic feet per second. The damage to the main spillway appears to have stabilized at this point right about here, about halfway down the main spillway. Again, the concern remains that this damage stays here and does not continue to crawl back up, head cut its way back up towards the entrance to the spillway. Here we see crews scrambling to dump rocks and get them in position where they can along the emergency spillway. Here comes another giant truckload right here. So the whole idea is to shore up this emergency spillway, but to not have to use it again. The basic idea is to go back to plan A and just lower the reservoir using the main spillway, the busted spillway, at 100,000 cubic feet per second. And at that rate, 5 inches per hour, they should be able to get down to 50 feet pretty soon, despite the incoming rains, and avert a potential disaster. And here's what the bag of rocks looks like once they're dumped into the hole. Here comes another bag right now. Pretty desperate attempt, but that's what they can do right now. And there's the flow of the traffic evacuating the area. Steady stream, just a ghost town there now. The Oroville area. Right here on the corner of the dam above the spillway, workers are getting some pretty dramatic photos of what's going on the emergency spillway down below. We'll take a look at some of those pictures that these guys took. So here's some of those pictures taken by the guys on top of the dam. This is looking down the emergency spillway. The water's flowed off from the right here and taken out the access road to the boat ramp and headed on down the ravine into the Thermalito afterbay, or correction, Thermalito diversion pool. And there's another shot of it. And here's some of the type of erosion or boil holes that they're concerned about. There's another one right over there we looked at from the aerial view. That's the road to the boat ramp, which has failed. That's the edge of it there. Big hole right there. That's the main spillway below the failure, and the erosion off to the side of the spillway worked its way down to bedrock and is stabilized enough right there. There's the main spillway looking at it from the top. Again, looking over the lip, right over the lip of the emergency spillway. This erosion right here is the cause of the evacuation, and right over here. Again, looking down the main spillway, the base of the main spillway as it pours into the diversion pool. And here's the emergency spillway pouring into the diversion pool, creating its own river. And there's the high tension power lines they're concerned about, losing the footings to those power lines right there. A question I got for electrical guys is, if you lose the power lines, can you continue to run electrical turbines if you have no place to put that electricity? I don't know the answer to it. And again, is this water backed up in the Thermalito pool too much did it back up and cause the turbines to jam up and they were unable to flow water through those turbines? I don't know the answer to that and would like to find out. Again, the main spillway and the emergency spillway. More of the emergency spillway pouring over. Early, this is early in the day before the erosion really got taken off there. And the water from the beginning of the emergency, from the beginning of the day as it began to pour over, gently pour over the emergency spillway before it became a torrent. Now begins the phase of the disaster of finger pointing and blame naming. Let's just wait until a full report is going to come out about this. Of course, the report from 10 years ago surfaced about the need to armor that emergency spillway and bring it up to modern day dam building standards. That's all going to play a big role in the explanation of this disaster and the future direction. Regardless, it's just going to cost a ton of money to fix this. This infrastructure in California was created in the 1960s. It's a 50-year-old infrastructure. It's what allows California to be habitable in the Central Valley and Sacramento Valley and create the breadbasket for a nation, for the world, and be the now sixth largest economy in the world. But that's a 50-year-old infrastructure, and it requires constant maintenance to keep it up. Are we keeping up with that maintenance? Doesn't look like it. All right, thanks for watching. I'll eventually want to get in with the DWR, Department of Water Resources. By the way, I think overall they've done a pretty good job of averting this disaster. They took that throttle right up to the limit cautiously, and it worked. It basically worked. I mean, we ended up with a huge evacuation, but we averted a disaster. So I'd eventually like to get my feet on the ground there at the Oroville Dam and do a report from right there at the emergency spillway and get a first-hand look of what that looks like. So Department of Water Resources folks, if you're watching, I'd love to come on out and take a look around. So thanks for watching. I'll keep you updated on the situation as I can. I got to get to work right now. Stay tuned.